Night, today, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. We're super excited to have you. My name is Andrew, so I work as a student success manager at Kyros. So for those of you that are Kyros members, hopefully you've seen me many times by this point in our office hours and teaching sprints and in webinars and whatnot. For those that are new to Kyros, welcome. We have a very exciting night for everybody. Let me show you our agenda real quick. I don't want to take up too much time introducing because we want to pass this over to our amazing students today. All right, so as you know, we have a panel discussion with 5 of our amazing students that have worked with Kyros, been part of Kyros. So I'm going to quickly introduce them and stop blabbering. We're going to spend the large chunk of our time today on our student panel discussion. We're going to talk about Kyros resources and support that. I am honored to be having this lovely conversation today with Andy, Kathleen, Nicole, Will, and I'm gonna start with Kathleen for question 1, and I'll just read it out loud here. How did you discover your passion and sense of purpose, and what led you to your current major of study and academic interests? Take it away.
Sure. So for me personally, I discovered a lot of my passions outside the classroom. I think this is pretty common for most high school students because although high school is a time for you to explore academically, I feel like students sometimes don't necessarily find their true passions in class because class itself isn't all that exciting. However, I thought that a lot of the clubs I did outside of class and the internships I did outside of class really helped me to discover kind of what I see for myself in the future and the areas I'm particularly interested in. So for me, for example, I did a research internship on a biology topic in my junior year that was instrumental to me finding out that although I might not want to do research for a career, that biology was something that I really could see myself pursuing in college. Also clubs such as like the medicine club in my school or being part of the science bowl team, all that stuff really helped me figure out what I wanted to do with my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Let's pass it over to William next.
So hi everyone. So I'm studying computer science in college, and as a kid, I always enjoyed playing with puzzles, like puzzle games, like solving Rubik's Cube. So I just also kind of enjoyed STEM classes because of just the logical nature of it. And I was introduced to the field of computer science in elementary school when my elementary school had a STEM fair, and that's kind of what sparked my interest. So for the remainder of middle school and high school, I began to pursue more clubs and extracurriculars that kind of surrounded computer science. Like in middle school, I joined the coding club, and then in high school, I also joined coding club, but this time was teaching middle schoolers. And by taking more and more classes, I kind of felt that computer science was where I performed the best in, along with the STEM classes. So I began to invest more time outside of school and extracurriculars. And what kind of confirmed my interest in computer science was dual enrolling at my local community college. When I first took a couple classes, college level classes, I felt a bit challenged, but also more interested. And that's what led me to declare computer science as my major.
Thank you so much, William. What I hear from both of you is that finding your passion sometimes is a process. And maybe that process doesn't look like what you initially imagined it to be. We're like, oh, I'm going to take a class. Some teacher's just going to inspire me and there's going to be a burning desire to study something. Sometimes you have to pursue different avenues, be curious. If you have an inclination that something's really, interesting to you, you take an extracurricular, you do an independent project, that will lead you to doors opening to finding something that you're really, truly finding passion and meaning in. And for you, William, it seems like you had an idea of what you want to do. There's a track you're going down, but you really pursued that track and you took extra classes and you took any opportunity you can to really make sure that that's something you want to do. And your passion kind of grew organically in that process, which is also super cool. I mean, I don't think there's any one size fits all, to answer this question. It's a matter of remaining open-minded and curious. And also we're curious to hear, Jizan, what's your experience in terms of finding your passion?
Yeah, in terms of finding my passion, I would say it's good to take into note that the things you love doing and the things that you're good at don't have to be necessarily entirely the same, nor do you have to give up one for the other. I am, as you can see, a psychology major, but I actually started off high school wanting to major in graphic design. But as I was going through high school, I found that a lot of the activities I dedicated myself to related more closely to the medical field, such as all of my community service in hospitals. So I just felt like finding a balance between talents and passions can help you craft something entirely unique to you. And this will even help when you're writing essays. For me specifically, definitely, I've always loved helping people. And that kind of led me to an interest in psychology because in the current world, there's a lot of people struggling with mental health. And through my artistry, I would say, I also got to know a lot of people, and seeing how individuals struggled with that also led me to want to pursue psychology.
I love it. And to be honest, the two things that you love to do really almost have a similar goal, right? Is to connect with people. That's what art is all about. That's what counseling and psychology is often about. How do we connect? How do we communicate, right? So those two things may seem different at first, what you're really good at, what you're really passionate about, but I promise you, those two passions will begin to merge. They're probably already the skills that you have that make you a great artist or a great psychologist. They're just going to kind of blend together and you will find some happy medium. But I love the idea of, sometimes the thing that we love and that we're really good at might not be the same, and it's okay to pursue both or invest a lot of time in one direction or the other. That's a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's move to question number 2. Here we go. So when was the optimal time and how did you strategically plan your course selection, extracurriculars, independent project, etc. in your middle or high school that led you to a successful college application process? Let's start with Andy on this one. Take it away.
Yeah, so I started course planning back in middle school. I had the opportunity to take some more advanced level courses when I was in middle school at my local high school. So I got the chance to talk to a bunch of upperclassmen, classmates and friends. And so I asked them a lot of questions about what classes they were taking, what teachers they liked, what teachers they didn't like, things like that. So I got a lot of first-hand knowledge from them, which is really helpful. As for extracurriculars, I started seriously planning for them in around 10th grade, and I did a lot of research on my own about what successful students had done. I did lean on the friends that I knew who were older than me and were doing extracurriculars before me, but I also went online with places such as Reddit or YouTube for advice. And one thing I found out that was really helpful was doing an independent passion project. So I started making documentaries in 10th grade and 11th grade and really took that pretty far and was really successful with it. So that was one thing that I found out was helpful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. I mean, you did everything right in terms of researching, asking questions, getting advice from upperclassmen, anyone that you can, right? If you're really interested in something, pick the brains of people that have gone through the process, learn from them, learn from their mistakes, especially. And there's always going to be lots of people that are going to want to share their advice. I think it's if you just ask the right questions and are open-minded, whether it's people in your school or mentors that you can find in community, your parents, family, friends. There's lots of good advice out there. All right, cool. Let's move over to Nicole. How about you?
So I started planning around 8th through 9th grade. And like Andy, I also asked my friends, upperclassmen, and what classes they're taking. And since some of my friends had older siblings, I asked them too. So they knew, because I thought they knew how to plan their classes better. And I also asked upperclassmen for advice, and also my parents asked their friends for information about what classes to choose. And some tips I recommend is, since most of your course selections and extracurricular activities, they should be planned in middle school, since you're able to take high school level courses in middle school. And before your freshman year at high school, you should research your school's clubs and extracurricular activities to see whether there's something that interests you. And so when I was planning my extracurriculars for high school, I thought that I wanted to take orchestra because I had done so in junior high. And my parents were also a big influence in that decision. They told me to take orchestra in high school because I was pretty decent at the violin. So I ended up taking it in my freshman year. But by the end of junior high, I didn't really enjoy playing the violin anymore, but still ended up taking orchestra my freshman year. So needless to say, most of the time I was bored during that class and did not really enjoy it. Looking back, I wish I had planned better and taken a different class that I would have enjoyed more instead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nicole. I think that part of the process of extracurriculars and summer activities and whatnot is to explore curiosities. And it's okay if you pick something up, you try it, and you don't love it, and there's other things you could be doing that you're passionate about. Sometimes it's a process of elimination. Not everything you try you're going to love. I think being honest with yourself and having honest conversations with your family and your teachers, totally fine. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind, especially early on in high school. You're here to explore, right? Part of this is a matter of curiosity. And again, remaining open-minded to the possibilities. If one thing doesn't work out, it's going to open up another door possibly for something else that you may love. Okay, let's go over to Kathleen.
Sure. So I'm going to sound kind of like a broken record here because I too also asked a lot of my peers. I think this is something that's like really important, especially in high school, is to find upperclassmen that you look up to and that inspire you, because those are the people that you can really get to know and learn about what they did in their high school careers so that you like can see the possibilities, and also because they're more relatable, you can also like convince yourself that you can do those things too. So yeah, I asked them about their schedules, their extracurriculars, what they recommended, what they told me to stay away from. Personally, the way that I structured my high school, I also started playing in 8th and 9th grade, but for freshman year, I was really experimental. I tried a lot of new things. I think it was really good for me to like figure out what I actually enjoyed and what I thought was more boring. And then sophomore year, I tried to settle down a little bit more, maybe work towards some leadership positions in school clubs. Junior year, I think, is a good time to look for internships and prestigious camps because you're a little bit more of a mature student. But even I think it's like good to stress that even if you do plan your high school career, those plans are almost certainly subject to change. For example, for me, there's COVID. So obviously a lot of those things have to shift around, but it's good to look ahead for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kathleen. COVID's definitely been a rough go for everybody. And I know it's changed a lot of our plans. Our lives look quite differently. You all mentioned, getting advice from upperclassmen or others. I remember in high school, the older students were always like great intel for what teachers are really cool, what classes are really fun, who were the harshest graders, what classes to potentially avoid altogether because no one, no matter how hard they try, is going to get an A. Whatever the case is, there's a lot of wisdom to be passed down. I think you have to believe everything everyone says, but I think just, if you make friends with, or at the very least ask students what their experiences are like, you can prepare mentally, emotionally, or otherwise for what that year might look like, what that class might look like. If you know a teacher's a particularly harsh grader, you need to be prepared and do really well on the tests, or participate a lot in class, find chances for extra credit that you might be able to do. Get to know that teacher and respect that teacher. There's so many valuable lessons to be learned from the advice you can get from all the folks in school, including the upperclassmen. All right, so we can move on to the third question. Let me go back here. All right, cool. And by the way, I just want to invite everybody in our audience. You can type questions into the chat box, and we're going to have a Q&A after. So if you see anything, if anything comes up and you have questions for our panelists or for us, feel free to type in those questions now. We'll come back to them. We'll circle back at the end of the presentation. So yeah, moving to number 3, how did the Kyros platform support your annual planning or help you to take your activities to the next level? were there any specific areas you'd like to highlight that Kairos was able to help you with? For example, your essays or your rec letters or interviews or sprint programs or SSM support, summer internship. I know there's a lot that goes on here. If there's anything specific that was really helpful to you, that would be great to share with everyone. And we will start with Nicole for this question.
Yeah, so I joined Kyros at the end of my junior year. So I wasn't really there to help me plan my extracurriculars throughout my high school years, but it really helped me on my applications for colleges. Kyros had multiple sprint programs, including one for the main Common App essay, early decision and early action applications, college and major selections, and a lot more. And these sprint programs really helped me search and brainstorm ideas for my essays and college searches. One thing I remember from the sprint programs was that the essays you write for colleges should focus on growth. So when I submitted my essays for editing, the instructor said I was focusing too much on the problem and not enough on me overcoming the problem. So that became ingrained in my brain. And in my future essays, when I was writing about a hardship, I really emphasized on how I overcame it. The sprint programs also help with my time management with college applications, or else I would have been completely clueless on when I should start writing essays. I remember chatting with my friends, and they were all turning in their applications on the last day and the last hour. But with the help of Kyros, I was able to turn in my applications 1 to 2 weeks earlier, and I didn't have to stress right before the deadline. I was also in the Kyros internship last year, and at that time, I still didn't know what kind of path was suited for me. So I joined it to learn, try something new, and experience what an internship would feel like. I was the team lead for the UX design for the online forum, and although I'm not majoring in UX design, it was a really fun experience, and I learned a lot from it. It really taught me the importance of group communication and time management.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nicole. I know you got a lot out of Kyros, and you've been amazing at giving back to Kyros as a project manager for the internship. It's been awesome working with you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Let's move to Jidan.
So for me, I also received a lot of help from the sprint programs for essay writing, but I would say outside of the sprint programs, one of the places Kyros helped me the most is with one of the smaller details in the college application that I feel like everyone doesn't talk about as much. When you apply for college on the College App website, they ask you to list all of your extracurriculars, activities, and hobbies. And then when the first time I logged in, right, you have like this massive list that they want you to compile. I was so confused and overwhelmed. But Kyros has a section on their website for students where it's very easy to put together all of your personal achievements and provide samples to help you understand a very efficient and effective way to format it to utilize your word count to the maximum potential. So that was super helpful for me. It was something I didn't even realize that I needed help with. So yeah, Kyros really.
Yeah, thank you. So for both of you, like what I'm hearing and what I completely agree with, and I've seen many times, and I've even experienced in my own applications, like there's all these hidden areas that you don't think about are going to take so much time, but end up being really time consuming. And having guidance and help to understand what those areas will be and how to address them right away, whether it's really thoughtfully filling out the impact area of your activities on your Common App, or rethinking like, all right, I need to focus more on growth. And everyone loves an underdog story. If you're going to write about an adversity, that's totally cool, but you have to write about the growth, what you experienced, how you changed, how you transformed. Doesn't have to be perfect, like Nicole was talking about. I mean, these are all really important details that can completely shift the entire tone and texture of your application. And working on that early on and not being so stressed to the very last second and having the amount of time to really be thoughtful about everything you're going to write, your story, your narrative, how you're going to put your application together. That kind of help and guidance is invaluable. I know the sprint programs are amazing at doing that. You have some real expert guidance. So I'm glad that was really helpful for you, in addition to all the ways that the platform itself helps with time management and kind of organize everything and show you what you have to do and anticipate well ahead of time. Let's move over to William here.
So I joined Kairos during the summer right before senior year. And before going into the whole college applications process, I was relatively uninformed. So I didn't know much about the process. But luckily, Kairos had a couple of sprint programs regarding college major selection that just gave an overview of the entire process and just helped me to catch up to like my peers who kind of knew more about college applications. And I also attended several essay writing sprint programs, and this helped me to get valuable feedback on some of my essays. And they set some deadlines for you for turning in a couple of drafts of essays. So it helped to keep me on track to submit it, not the week of or the day of. And I also participated in like scholarship application and interview practice sprint programs, and I found those to be useful because of the information and the application I got was useful. And I participated in Kairos's mobile app development internship, and I thought this was very helpful in my application, along with a valuable experience because I had previously only coded by myself, and now working with others, coding together, it helped me learn the values of collaboration, teamwork, and it was just overall a great experience.